gentlemen, I'm so glad to be here. Yeah, this is I Love You Everyday show, and this is organized by Heart to Heart Guidance and Counseling Center here in Benin City, Nigeria. And so, I'm here with two persons, yeah, and want to really get tough on this topic today, overcoming identity crisis. But then, before we get involved with that, let's have them introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with the man on my left, and then we'll take it off from there.
Okay, my name is Toby Kayode Olodipe. I'm pleased to be here.
All right. Let's not forget that these guys are married. I need to highlight that immediately because some of you will not be like, this guy is it. He's a fine guy. Can you give me his number? Please don't go to my DM. Thank you. All right. Tell us your name, sir.
All right. My name is Ogwalaji Precious Chinechere. I'm a physiotherapist.
Right. You're welcome, guys. What we're trying to achieve here with the topic of overcoming identity crisis is simply to, explore some of the effects. Some may be negative, some may be positive at some point. We're trying to manage the situation and see how we can, have a beautiful relationship or marriage. That's basically it. But then, let's quickly start with what's the definition. When you go to class for the first time for a topic, you need to actually understand what it is, and so that you have a basic understanding so that you can write this every other thing that comes with it. So I'm going to throw this question first of all to Toby. We're going to work with your first name, Toby Precious. Let's just go with that so that we can go ahead with it. So, Toby, can you just give us a basic understanding of the topic? Overcoming identity crisis or identity crisis itself.
Okay, thank you very much. Identity crisis is a natural thing. It is mostly something we encounter as it comes with development.
Okay.
So identity crisis is just a situation whereby you have a conflict of who you are, and basically you identify that you have identity crisis when you are asking some basic question. Who am I? Where do I want to go? What are my interests? What are my values? So when all of this come to play, there seems to be identity crisis.
Okay, wonderful perspective. Can you give us a perspective with relation to relationship?
Okay, well, in relationships, certainly, there are certain roles that are expected of someone in a relationship or marriage or whatever you may call it. So, when you're trying to examine who you are in relation to the expected role, okay, probably by the society, by the family, friends, people around. So, they become a conflict. You're trying to balance who you are and the expected role you're expected to play, in that certain relationship. So, like the other speaker said, identity crisis is something that I believe occurs at every stage of life.
Okay.
Major stage of life, at least when you're trying to take certain decisions.
Steps, right?
Okay, so in relationship, obviously, you, the other person is that person. So you people are trying to find a way to stay together. So if you don't understand yourself, that person doesn't understand himself, the crisis comes. Okay, so you're trying to live out the person's life. The person is probably trying to live out your life. So there's a problem.
Oh, great. Seeing it from a general perspective and then a relationship perspective actually make us go into what I would call sort of, I don't know how to call this, but I know that the next question I'm going to push in right now is going to be more relationship or more of relationship, because this is what the show is all about. We're trying to reach out to persons with relationship and marriage. So, but then, this is a young man, all right? This is a young man who wants to dash into a relationship, and this man is ready. I mean, he's matured enough to get involved with a relationship and get married, So, but he is of the opinion that he wants someone who is not struggling with knowing themselves. Okay, for the lady, for example, same thing goes with the lady who is waiting, okay, for the man to come in, who knows himself, obviously. So, but then we want to educate this man on what are those obvious signs he should look out for if he must, go after or seek a lady's attention, regarding relationship. Who knows herself? What would you you can give us 2 or 3 practically about, those obvious signs he should look out for before saying, okay, I think this lady is it. Let's go.
Okay, narrowing it down to relationship, I think the way I approach relationship, I look at it from these three powerful ways, which is I love you. The I takes care of the person giving out love. The love is what we are giving out, and you is the recipient of the love that you are giving. So for the young man, first of all, you should be able to find that when you talk about identity, you talk about what's the person passionate about,
Yes.
what are the beliefs, or in terms of spirituality, what does the person hold in mind as morality between what is good and bad. That will inform their decision. Then, how does the person perceive the role that the society plays in their own personal life, and how does the person also perceive the role they play in society, so vice versa. So the person must be able to check all of these. So somebody who has identity crisis may not be able to state categorically what he or she is passionate about. The person may not have a firm belief,
Yeah.
okay, as a youth, because relationship, basically we are talking about youth, people in their formative years. There are some persons that grow up with a particular Christian belief, but as they are growing up, they begin to question the veracity of some basic truths.
Mm-hmm.
So, going into a relationship, if you are somebody like the I that I talked about, if you are somebody that already has a set identity for yourself, you must be able to also identify somebody that has also discovered his or herself. For the young man, you should find out all of these factors or all of these signs from the lady. Then you should be able to know if that lady has identity crisis or not.
Okay, so it means that from what you just said, you have to now look inwards from what you have to decide what comes into you.
Yes.
Because it's actually what you have is what you can receive, actually what you can identify with.
Yes.
So that's the meaning. Well, that's a great one. Going forward, I would want to throw this to Precious. How would you advise a lady, all right? Or let's not use a lady now, a guy, all right, who is still trying to find himself. We should not get carried away with the fact that his relationship. We could also talk generally. How do we really? What's the level to which you should know yourself and say, I think I'm ready for a relationship? For example, for myself, that took me time to get involved with. It took me time to actually say, okay, I think I'm not ready. Some tell you I'm not financially ready. Some tell you I'm not physically ready. Some tell you I'm not emotionally ready. Some persons tell you that. But just give us a measure. What's the standard before saying, you can use yourself for example, before you go married, before you go into a relationship, what's that thing you could hold and say, yes, I think I'm ready for a relationship, I think I should go in?
Okay. Like Mr. Toby said, he said something, there has to be the I. See, that I factor, that's the you, okay?
Yes.
So you're trying to find out who you are,
Mm-hmm.
what you believe, okay? Now, necessarily before I started thinking anything relationship, I did this a long time ago. I was ready a long time ago. I didn't see the person, okay? So I knew what I wanted. I knew where I was going, what I wanted for myself, where I want to be in a certain, time of life, okay? So I knew that. I knew my belief. I knew my stand in some certain issues of divorce, finance, spirituality. I already had a stand,
I'm
okay?
sure you
So
got to read books about this or something.
okay. I'm not so much of a reader.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I listen more.
Okay.
So I listen. I don't know. Most times they just come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So I listen more, messages, counsels, and a lot of all those. So I got involved with people that were married, a lot of them. So I stayed around. So I listened to things they had to say. So I'd already started forming something for myself. Okay, so this is my stand in regards to this. And trust me, once I met any lady, I had quite a few relationships. So once I met any lady, you see, I'm concerned in trying to know what's your belief. Okay, I throw up a question. What's your belief in terms of finance? What's your belief in terms of family members? Okay, what's your belief in terms of divorce? One lady like that, it didn't work out because I asked her a question. I said, I was living in self-contempt. So I said,
Mm.
would you get married to me living in this self-contempt? She said, no, can she marry me living in self-contempt? It's already for me. I started looking for my escape route.
Wow.
Sincerely speaking, because I'm already seeing her mindset, okay? I wasn't saying that that's probably where my life is going to end,
Yeah, sure.
okay? But then it's not a bad for a start.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't even want to think about that. No, it's not. No, she can't get married to a man. Okay. She also believes that if she has a car, she can't get married to a man that does not have a car. Okay, so that's a belief for her. Okay, so now it's already a red flag for me. So I didn't even pursue that relationship because I knew it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably, well, I may not be so certain, but I'm already seeing some aspect of someone who is probably a materialistic type of person. Okay, so
Yeah.
there'll be more concern. So that's not what I want for myself. I know I'm going to have the money, a lot of them. Okay, but then I want someone who is going to be and build with me, not someone who wants to
Go digger, right?
yeah, so that was so I already knew what I was looking for, knew my stance in certain things. Spirituality, are you a Christian?
Mm.
Not do you go to church? Beautiful, but are you a Christian? If you're a Christian, my uncle taught me something. He said, one thing he will ask you, are you a Christian? He said, yes, tell me your salvation experience. From your story, he knows whether you're a Christian or not.
Wow.
So funny enough, I just engage you, okay? I just tell you mine, I want to hear your story, okay? I look at someone who had done some stupid things in the past, okay? So, and they're in the past. Okay, so what's your mindset? Like, how do you handle past, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, I tell you my past, you now start using it to, I just know obviously you're not serious, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the basic things I personally found out for myself. So they helped me to, relate to people, associate with them, and then find out who would fit into, what I already believe. And obviously, I know, like, my wife, when I was getting married to her, she had this issue because she came from a home that the father and the mother separated. Okay, so that mindset was there.
Yeah.
Okay, so she always had this fear that her marriage will end up like that.
Mm.
Okay, so it was work. I had to do work.
Mm.
Okay, it's trying to change her mindset. Your parents' marriage must not be yours. It can't
Exactly.
be yours. You're different. Okay, so
Exactly.
this is what I believe that I can't divorce. In fact, I believe my marriage will be an example. Like I talk about it. So I want to make her believe that your marriage can be that too.
Exactly.
Okay, so these are some of the basic things you look out for to know, who knows himself. You're sure of who you are. You're sure of where you're going to. And then it will be easy for you to find someone to fit in.
Oh, beautiful. I really think that to an extent, people nowadays are not living deep lives. So that is why questions like you said, what are your beliefs, or practical questions like, would you want to stay with me in a self-con at this point when we get married? She's looking at it from the shallow point of view,
Obviously.
and that's why she's answering from a shallow point of view as well. Some people are not living deep lives. When you come to that point, this just adds to the question I asked earlier. When you come to that point of knowing deeply how you feel, responsible for your emotions, how you feel, you can tell if something goes wrong, you can tell how you feel without somebody telling you.
Yeah.
You can actually feel how you feel. If you haven't come to that point, I don't think you're ready for a relationship.
Yeah. Sure.
Because the person who you're in a relationship would ask you, what's going wrong? I don't know.
Exactly.
And you put that person in a suspense, like in the air, like what's going on? So that just adds to that. Really, really, people are living from the shallow point of view. They are looking at the media to identify with how they should live instead of living from within. Do you understand? So talking about what we have really dealt with people who are trying to get involved with a relationship. Let's talk about relationship inside the relationship now. Let's get involved with that. Now, every stage, every junction has its own challenge that has to deal with who you are, what you carry. And then you need more capacity to even step into another level. Now, both of you were singles, and now both of you are coming together to say, let's get involved with a relationship. Obviously, there'll be a change. There should be a change because both of you now are in a relationship. You have discussed your beliefs, you have discussed the values you hold high in a relationship, or rather in life. You have discussed all of that, and you are getting involved with a relationship. Now, while in a relationship, you are going to do that maybe for 2 years, 3 years, we don't know, before you get married. Between that period, there are some certain things you would begin to identify with that will alter certain things in your relationship, and that has to do with your identity. All right. I know there's no really no difference between the single and then getting into a relationship, because somehow you are still single, but then you are engaged with somebody. You're engaged with somebody. But then the things that has to do with relationship, all those activities, or rather the commitments, the things you need to put in to make sure that this thing works, has to be given. So, and that will alter who you really are.
Sure.
So how do you manage that situation? I think I want to throw this to Mr. Toby to really deal with it. How do you manage such situation? Because some persons will feel like, as they enter, like, okay, for me, when she just said yes to me, the next few hours she was sad. I'm getting to another stage of life. What's this? You are giving me another type of, like, this is different. So it will take you time to embrace. Trust me. Take your time. So how do you manage? Do you run away, or how do you manage it?
Well, just the way it would be unjust for you to give a baby's meal to an adult, or give an adult meal to a baby. It would be unjust for you to go into a relationship when you are not ready. At the center of relationship, or whatever we call it, marriage or any form of relationship, the center of it is commitment. You cannot be committed beyond the capacity that you have. If, for example, you're a student, and one of the center of commitment is attention, time, apart from finances and all. So if, as a student, you have a commitment with your career, you need more time and all of that. So, and you want to get into a relationship probably that also need your time. So it will be a disservice to yourself. That's where the I come in. So you must understand your capacity as a person to be able to meet needs, because relationship is about meeting needs, not necessarily financial needs. Time, attention, emotional intelligence. You understand? Okay, for example, you are in a relationship with somebody and the person is bereaved, and you don't even have the right words to use. Do you know that can even end the relationship?
Sure.
Yes.
So why get into, because relationship is like you want to be a part of another person's reality, another person's life. So that's why you cannot take away you developing yourself first before going out to, because relationship is not only about gaining, it's also about giving. You may enter into a relationship and you need to first give before you get. That is, getting into a relationship doesn't mean that you are looking for the best person that have everything all sorted out. You understand? So you as a person, you must be willing to be a part of another person's life and contribute. So you can't give what, basically in a nutshell, you can't give what you don't have. So the best way to manage all of these things is to first of all grow your capacity. Do you have enough time to give time? Do you have enough finances to give finances? Do you have the emotional intelligence to be able to be there for somebody that needs such help? Do you even have what it takes to be able to take somebody in? Some things can happen. Okay, let's go to real relationship and marriage. When a person gets married and the person is expecting a baby, you understand? It's a different ball game. Will you be there? Will you be able to meet those needs? So don't get into a relationship and you are confused and you don't know what to do. I know you cannot sort everything out before entering, but before entering, you should have a certain capacity, a certain maturity. I think that's just the best way.
Okay. I don't know, Mr. Precious, could you go practical on what he just said? What type of personal growth plan are we missing in this game? Because I believe that we see more relationship breaking every day. In fact, there's having people break fast every day now. So people are always having divorce. So something is missing. We'll come into the scriptures and spiritual parts of this, but what's missing? What's the missing link in our growth process? It seems we jumped primary 4 at some point. We jumped JSS 2 at some point.
Yeah.
There was a problem.
Yeah, I always say this. I said recently, I've even shared this with you. I said, recently we see people that are more, you see that dating or relationship, whatever you call it, time, which should be the time of these realizations, where you're trying to know who you are, who the person is, how you can fit in, how you can, youths now turn into time of eating shawarma, time of doing movie nights, time of a lot of stupid things, and they feel they love themselves, it's the love. It's not enough. I don't know, it's not enough. He talks about capacity building. You have to build yourself, okay?
Yeah.
It's part, like earlier when I was mentioning, your stand in certain areas of life is still part of the building, okay? So that tomorrow when that area hits you, you know how to, be able to handle this, okay?
Exactly.
Now, in my relationship, I had already discussed finance. Okay, now who is more prudent? Who spends more? Okay, now who is going to hold the money? We've discussed these things on time so that tomorrow it will not be a problem. So now I'm the more prudent one, I hold the money. You understand? So if she needs the money, I give her the money. That's the thing, because you give her, she will spend, she spend it.
Wow.
So these are the things you actually discuss and find out. In-laws, how do you relate with them? Okay? So that tomorrow it doesn't cause a problem. We decided, okay, fine, an in-law can come, but then if he's coming, he shouldn't call. You can't just barge into my house, I'll send you home. Even my younger brother stays in Benin here. You can't just come to my house. I'm telling you, you have to call me. And I'll tell my wife that you're coming. And if you are ready to receive you, I will tell you to come. It's a long we've laid for ourselves. So from her side, her people are aware. From my side, my people are aware, okay?
Beautiful.
So I didn't make it a one-sided thing, okay? So her people are aware, my people are aware. The moment that conscious, the moment I want to come to my house, you can't tell your husband I'm coming. You understand? So she's already aware. So I believe these are some of the practical aspects. You should build time and find out, you don't waste that time. You say people are dating, whatever, tomorrow, and that's okay, you want to marry. Okay, what have you learnt about marriage? Okay, is there anything at all you've learnt? There is this popular saying, it's turned to a cliche now, that people prepare more for the wedding than the marriage. The more is said, the more people still make the mistake. I still people every day still rushing into these things. I was talking with someone yesterday. She's well above 30 something. She's not yet married. So I asked her why. I said, why do you think you're not married? And let me tell you the three things she said. Number one, she easily loses interest. I said, issue. Number two, she wants to be in charge. This is a lady, you understand? Number three, she doesn't do long distance. These are serious issues. I'm even glad she knows them. Many people don't even know.
No.
They just jump into one and jump out. What happened? They just said, he called me, I called him. That's not the reason. There's something.
Underlying
Now, she loses interest easily. And how can you keep a relationship if you're losing interest easily? Okay, how you even marry? That is someone you'll be seeing every day, morning, afternoon, night, like you're seeing the person. You understand? So it's something you have to deal with. It's an issue. It's a serious issue. I tell her, so I said, see, I'm sure you've never heard this before. He said, she's never. I sat her down, we spoke for her. That time he called me, I thought that was the meeting. Yeah, that was the meeting. We talked for hours, trying to do my bit. I'll just do and pray for her. That's the much I can do, okay? Trying to, because I believe that, why not marry, for God's sake? It's not like you've not been to, she has had, how many relationships did she even mention? What happened? Not talk one story. I know that's not the issue. You understand? So that's the problem. So I believe that you could actually develop time, to probably read if you can read. If you can't read, listen. If you can't read, simply for someone to counsel you, just look for something. The problem now, I'm usually very careful about this when I say counsel, because you should be careful who counsels you.
Exactly.
Okay, you should be careful. I'm usually very careful. I tell it to my wife every day. I say, be careful what you listen. I'm careful who counsels me. Okay, so because what you hear can change your fate. Okay, so I'm very careful about it. But then, if you know there's someone you could meet that can counsel you, fine. Okay, these are the ways to build this capacity. It doesn't just fall, for God's sake. It doesn't just fall. But trust me, there's this thing that happens in marriage that, I love you. That feeling I love you, and then I want to do everything to please you. You understand? What makes me happy? You've forgotten what makes you happy. Tomorrow the ship will capsize. Because tomorrow you're going to wake up one day and find out that you've been miserable. But the other person, you are trying to make that person happy. But you're losing yourself. So that's why it's very important. So you know yourself. Okay? You try to, ascertain certain aspects of life and how you're going to handle them. Like my uncle told me something. He said, if your wife is pregnant, he said, when a woman is pregnant is the time the man needs, I don't know, I can't remember, let me just paraphrase, time you need patience as a man. You need serious patience. Oh boy. I don't understand what he was saying. I'm telling you, I don't understand what he was saying. But I think the reality is done. You know, one day, my wife just said, I went to market, came back, said I should go to market again. I said, for what? I should go and buy her mango.
My God.
I got angry. I got angry. I said, but I remember what my uncle said. I was trying to calm myself down. This is the time you have to be patient. This is the time you have to be patient.
That's counsel.
That's the point. So, see, because if I didn't know about this, okay, I probably, madam, what's your own problem? I just come back from the market. I should go now. It's a mango. I should go and look for. so it's quite funny. But then, probably because I've learned that you should be patient.
Yeah.
So I'm more patient.
Yeah.
Funny things I see, but I just try to calm myself down.
Yeah.
I knew that this is the stage. I should expect it. That's because I prepared myself for this stage. Okay.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Precious. I'm enjoying this at the moment, but some people at the back of the stage are saying that we should round up.
Okay.
I don't know what to do right now, but I'll just have to be patient, like you said. I have to be patient, because if I'm not patient, the pregnancy, the baby that is coming may not come down. That mango may be very necessary for the baby to come. So let's bring it down so that we can be safe while going home. So, but then the last session, or the last no session right now, last question would be that let's look at this from God's perspective. Yes. You come into a marriage, you come into another stage of life. Unless you just married a relation, I'm talking generally now. You come into another stage of life, you come into a relationship, you get a new job. God does a miracle for you by giving a job, right? But what's God's perspective about blending him, adapting into that job, into that relationship, into that marriage? I'm going to hear from both of you briefly. What does God expect you to do? Is it to just sit down and let things play out naturally? Or there's something that we need to do as believers to adapt to it? Yes, biologically speaking, we should adapt. We get into an environment, we get to maybe a new relate or anything, you should adapt. But some people cannot. It takes them time to do that. It takes them a lot of troubles. We go down first before we have that. But as believers, God has given us His Spirit to help us.
Sure.
So, but what are we supposed to do? Let me hear from Tubi before we round up on this.
Okay, I'll just go straight to the point.
Yeah.
God expects us to, whatever our relationship on earth, be it work, because work is also a form of
relationship.
Be it work, be it relationship that involve emotional ties. God does not expect us to lose our primary identity, which is He created us in His image and in His likeness. So whatever you are looking out for, in whatever relationship that you are involved in, you must keep the identity that God has given to you, which is He made you in His image and in His likeness. In that relationship, you should find God. In that job, you should find God. In whatever you are doing, once you lose that identity of being who God wants you to be,
wow,
then it's of no use. If you're in a marriage that it takes away your identity with Christ, it's in the first place, why are you in such marriage?
Exactly.
That is not to say if you find yourself there now you should break up or walk away, but we are trying to prevent that. That's why we are talking about that now. So if you want to be in a relationship, if it doesn't glorify God, why are you there? If you're in a job, there are some jobs that obviously is conflicting with your beliefs. We talked about beliefs.
Yeah.
So conflicting with your belief, for example, as a child of God, not just a churchgoer, you should have your integrity in place. You should have your moderation in place. You should, the basic tenets of what Christianity is about. So whatever human relationship, work, love, marriage, business, you must not lose your identity in Christ. So that's just what God expects us.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear from Precious.
All right, and then to add to that, I think aside knowing who we are, that we are created in Christ's image, we should understand that we are created for His pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so whatever you're doing, does it give God pleasure? Okay, so if He doesn't give God pleasure, then there is already a question mark to that point. But the problem I see also is that we've resorted more to social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then the influence, social media has found a way to, give us how things should be done, So
Exactly.
we've forgotten how God wants it to be done. It's now how the social media, this is how you should look. You see a lot of people endangering their lives, doing one form of surgery or going under the knife in terms of wanting to look beautiful, because that's how social media has told you have to look. And that's actually a problem, because you've lost who you are. You're trying to become someone else. Someone else social media is presenting to you to be. So I think it's a problem until we begin to look away from all those. I use social media, I use them, I enjoy them, okay? But then we should be able to look away from all those and see that we came from somewhere, okay? So Christ should define who we are, not social media. Social media shouldn't define who we are, rather it should be Christ. So because youths now, it's social media has defined us. It defines how we dress, how we talk, how we relate to people. In fact, how we, I watched something yesterday, and then the wife was, behaving funny towards the husband, and then she decided to change and start being good. But the husband was not like, son, you just suddenly changed. So he now called his friend. His friend said, hey, I heard that whenever a woman, that was, behaving bad, now suddenly changed, now doing good, that means the man want to kill you. Yeah, and the man,
Wow.
So you see, that's what the social media or what the world has defined that kind of act to be. The woman was just trying to be genuine. Thank God at last they sorted out the issue. But you see the problem. Okay, but then if truly that man was following God's standard and principles, of course you should. See, we already this morning talked about the fact that you don't expect that because you are good, everybody will be good to you.
Mm-hmm.
So people will be bad even in your goodness.
State,
You understand?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's God's standard, that's God's perspective. So if you're looking at that, then you have to always see everybody as evil, and everything someone is doing for you as evil.
Wow, guys. I believe you have received this with an open heart, because really, relationship marriage is possible. Now we have come to a point in our days where people feel like marriage is not possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are right now.
Good marriage.
Yeah,
Or lasting marriage.
exactly. From God's perspective, it's not possible. They feel like things have come up, like we're involving, and it feels like, is marriage really the thing? Is it what we need to be doing now? I hear hookups. I hear many things nowadays. Different kind of marriage. Let's say God's perspective. So we can't call it marriage. Do you get? So my last summit here would be that whoever is listening right now, whoever you are, go deep. Really go deep in God. Go deep with yourself. Understand what you are meant to do on the earth. Because most of the time, when you understand what you are meant to do on the earth, it begins to define what God wants you to be. Because from what you need to do on the earth, that now defines who you need to be, according to His work, according to His perspective. And then, like what I read when I was in secondary school, you need to understand me, that's you, understand your mission, and then you can now have a mate. She's talking about a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a gradual process. First of all, let's understand that it's a process. They're not a hurry you enter. You have to take it one after the other. So in order for you to overcome or manage whatever identity crisis you get involved with, whether personally or in your relationship, communication is very key as well in relationship.
Very true.
You, like what he said, sit down and communicate during that period before you get married. Communicate all of these things, because you may be assuming.
Yeah.
You're assuming a lot, and when you assume a lot, by the time you enter like this, you are seeing something practical. You're not seeing something that the person is telling you is happening practically.
It's not
The
who I
person
thought
is
you
doing exactly. So communicate these things, and then personally, go deep within yourself and look inwards. And find out what's really going on with me. I'm reading the book currently, and I don't. That title of the book is funny. I know you know the book I'm talking about. And the person was like, if you want to solve a problem, keep asking why. Keep asking why.
Sure.
Keep asking why.
Yes.
Before you know it, you will not discover that, like you were talking about when you ask the lady why you're not married. All those things she's saying is not the problem. It's an anomaly factor. Same thing with yourself. Keep asking yourself why. Why am I angry? Because of this. Why? Before you know it, you will understand yourself, and then you're not like, okay, this is a wrong belief. This is a wrong value. All right, guys. Should we go?
Well, I think we have to.
Okay, they are pursuing us. Yeah, they're telling us to random.
Yeah, we have to.
So, guys, thank you for staying through to the end. Thank you for listening through. Put your questions on the comment section. The comments, like, subscribe, and follow us. All right. More content, more beautiful content is coming your way. Seriously, and I want to appreciate you. Thank you very much. I'll see you again for another episode.